Hello everybody. Today we're going to do some Trimble stamping, and I'm pretty excited for this because I want to show that you don't have to just use squares. But what I do want to tell you is that when you're cutting your paper, make sure that you cut it, when you're cutting your white pieces, make sure you cut them ½ inch larger than the previous one. The reason you do ½ inch is because then you're going to have your colored layers in there that you want to be ½ inch bigger than the white inch, so that way you get a frame around. So the first one we're going to do, and I'm just going to do one, and then you'll sort of get the idea, and I'll show you some other examples. So I'm just going to take a little dab, my snail's just about out, and a little dab of snail, and layer them together. And the reason we're just using a little dab of snail is because you just want it to stick so that it doesn't slide around on you. And then I'm using an old stamp set. I say it's old. It was last year's Valentine's stamp set. It's still available in our current catalog. And with all the cute stuff in this catalog, sometimes we forget about our current catalog. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp my greeting, because I want my greeting to be in its place. I don't want to overstamp it with something else. And then I'm going to ink up this dot, this heart, and I'm going to stamp it across my 3 layers. And you can see I had some technical difficulties, so you can see where I stamped a while ago when I was filming, but then my computer shut off for some reason and it shut my filming off. So woohoo, don't you love technology? So I just inked those up in basic black, in Memento ink, and stamped them on. And yes, these areas in here that didn't stamp are normal, but when you put them together, you're not going to be able to see them. So I'm just going to layer this one together for you real quick, because I'm trying to make this short. I don't know if that was the reason it shut off on me a while ago or not. But then you just layer them up, one after the other. And then for this card today, we're also going to use the Parisian Flourish, this embossing folder. Now this is in the current mini catalog, and it's available till the end of June also. But it's really, really pretty. Of course, with the name of Parisian, you would expect it to be pretty, because for some reason we always think things from France are pretty. Usually they're romantic and all of that. Okay, so you can see how I've got my layers up. Now, because these overlap like they do, nobody would ever notice that you had those little white spots. Now they're going to be saying, wow, how did they manage to get that lined up exactly? Well, didn't. And then we're going to layer this one on top of that. So, and then this is our embossing folder, and I just ran the top half of my cardstock through it, and then we will just adhere that onto there. Now I wanted to add this little flower, which I had to take off, so it just gives it a little. Now if you wanted to add something else, some ribbon, something else, you could. In my first version, I took my lovely lipstick blender and colored in some of the flowers on the hearts just a little bit to give it a little color. But that is triple stamping using something other than your regular squares. I hope you enjoyed that. Now this one, and there again, I've already stamped it all, and I didn't bother to take the time to cut new paper. So we layer these up, and then I stamped them. Now for this one, I used a mask, and a mask is where you stamp on a piece of Post-it note and cut it out, and then stick that on to cover it up. What did I do with that stamp set? This stamp set is called the Little Ladybug, and it is free with a $300 party or a $300 personal order. And it is just so cute. Anyways, so I just took and stamped on my Post-it note, and then you can see how it just covers up, and then you can stamp more on top of it. So then you're going to layer these. Now this is where I'm telling you, so this layer is a ½ inch bigger than this layer. And then this layer is a ½ inch bigger than this layer, at least. So that way, when I lay it on here, with it being a ¼ inch bigger, it layers perfect. Let me stick this down. I didn't stick it down in the last video because I wanted to move on, which is good because then I didn't have to restamp it. But as you can see, when I stick these down, and this is why you increment them at a ¼ inch, because then you get the little border where you can see the layers, and yet you still get the color in between there. This is one of my favorite techniques, and we just don't use it. I forget it, you know. You get busy trying new things and you forget. So then we layer it together so it looks like this. Now on my sample, I also cut out a ladybug, and when I was showing you before, I layered it. I just colored it with my red blends, and then I used gray down here. But I didn't want it to be so bright, so I stamped on vellum and then put the vellum over top of it. So this is what my finished card looks like. So see how I colored this with the Pretty Peacock, because, oh, by the way, I'm using Pretty Peacock cardstock here. And then the centers are with Cajun Craze, and then Old Olive down here. But see how I didn't want my ladybug to be so bright red because my other colors are sort of muted. So I put the vellum over top of her, and I think she looks beautiful. So, and then the next one that we're going to do, we're going to put 3 pieces together. So, and you can see here, I put 3 pieces. Now, because I started this when my camera quit. So these pieces, this piece is 2 by 4 1/4, I believe, 4 1/2. This one's 2 by 4 1/2. This one is 2 1/2 by 3 1/2, and this is 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So see, you don't even have to use the ½ inch increments if you don't want to. It just depends on the look that you're going for. If you want this symmetrical look, then you want to do ½ inch larger because your colors are going to be 1/4 inch. Now, if you're doing a layered look with this, you know, these are going to dictate to you how big they are. So this is 1 die, this is the next size up, this is the next size up. So that's how those work. If you wanted to do circles, squares, whatever. So I stuck my little adhesive on there, stuck this down, then I punched a little Post-it note in with a 1-inch circle to give me a little bit of a mask there, and then I started sponging it, and I'll do a sponging tutorial later, but I just started at the bottom and went up. And I started with green. Well, I did the whole thing in Daffodil Delight, and then I put green down here. I put my Post-it note on, and then I did Daffodil Delight and the pumpkin pie and Cajun Craze, and I just kept going until I got this as saturated as I wanted it to. Then I used the Parisian stamp set. I forget the exact name of it. It is escaping my mind right this second. And stamped the Eiffel Tower. And then I used the stamp set out of the catalog, Colorful Season for It's a Beautiful Day. It's one of the, I don't know if that's the one, exact one or not, but it's one of them that it says It's a Beautiful Day. And then I just backed it with black like I did on the other one. So see, same 3-step stamping technique, but you've got 3 very, very different looks. Can you see all of those? Did I get all of those in the camera? So I hope you enjoyed our triple stamping tutorial. Thank you. Have a good day.